Hey everyone, welcome to round 25 of 28 of the Scrabble Players Championship 2023. In this round, I'm playing against Carl Johnson, one of the people fighting for second place, basically, at this point. So if I show the scoreboard, Carl is currently in fourth place and needs to try and oust Jackson and Kevin Fraley, who both have better records than him. So Carl needs to win all of the rest of his games, and including this one. And Carl was someone I was really fearing facing because my record against him up to this point was 0-6. I had never beaten Carl. I actually had two games against him out of the six previous times we met where I opened with a 90 plus point word and still lost. Whereas in two of those games, two of the six games, Carl also opened with the bingo. So pretty unlikely stuff. Usually you open with the bingo around 1 in 7 times. But yeah, in two of those games, I just had a tremendous position from the get-go and squandered it. And then Carl in 2019 proceeded to beat me 3 times. We played at the national championship in 2019 3 times. He won all 3 times and ended up making the finals that year as well, losing in the end to Alex Seaholm. So yeah, definitely somebody I was happy to be facing in a position where it was very unlikely that I was going to not make the finals. But still wanted to win, of course, and Carl was first to act. And he played an exchange 4. And look at this. Would you look at that? I open with a bingo again. So here I play footage, and I'm just like, well, here we go again. I guess this is going to be another one of those games where I open with a bingo and lose. So Carl plays Remolded for 90. Luckily for him, he has a nice comeback. In this position, there are a few options. And I chose Djinn for 26. There are a lot of other things I could do here. I could play joins if I wanted to. The thing about Djinn is that I'm keeping Foo for 31 for next turn. But apparently playing FOO now is really not that bad, even though it retains IIJ. It's just that the FIOS leave is just really bad, and for 26 points, the best thing I can really do next turn is play FOO, basically. And that's not a very high ceiling. So yeah, there are other plays to consider. I could also just play Joe for 26. The other things I consider in this position were playing Fino or Foyne in this position to set up the S and hope to just smash it with the J next turn. So I think I would have played Fino. But yeah, I end up playing Djinn, just keeping things a little bit more controlled and just hoping to drop the F next turn. Here, Carl plays Nori, and I do get to drop the F, but I don't draw very well, so I'm keeping AIOSV. The other thing I considered in this position was to get rid of the V and play Fovea, but it just didn't seem to score enough to justify keeping iOS, which isn't very good either. So I elected to play Foo. Carl, again struggling with 1-point tiles, plays Etui. And it's a close game, but I have the advantage and it's my turn. So I'm definitely ahead here. And there are a couple options to consider. I could play Box for 34, which originally, it just looked really bad. Why give back just this easy spot? But the thing about this spot is I might be able to re-overlap turn after, and the re-overlaps will only ever be 2-letter plays. So sometimes when you get into like a staircasey situation like this one, you don't want to be the person to play on row 3 or the third row to the triple, or you do want to be that person is what I mean. If you play on row 4, your opponent plays on row 3, you play on row 2, they get row 1, which is the best row of them all because that's the row that contains the triple. So you usually don't want to do something like this, but because the X is on 4M, none of the 3-letter words that can happen here, except maybe Lux or Lex, whatever. It's very unlikely that a 3-letter word at M2 is going to be able to be hooked by an opponent, so it's really not that big of a deal to leave them with only 2 slots to play in. So box is actually reasonable here. I ended up playing Bovid. Carl responded with Labrum, again another U. And in this position, I'm up 9 points, and I have this really, really good looking play of Sexy, making Djinni. Of note, if you remove this D, this is not a valid word. It's a very commonly phoned with word of Djinni with a Y. It's just not an alternate spelling for some reason, but this one is. So yeah, just so you know. And I'm feeling really good because I've just blocked, the biggest bingo lane on the board. I'm keeping another S, I'm keeping an H. What is he really going to do? But Carl does the thing that he basically needs to do to stay in the game. He bingos through this I, plays Satirize for 68. And in this position, I actually make a significant mistake. And I play Weave for 30 points. And this play looks really good. I keep HST. There are enough vowels in the pool that it's not a big deal to keep the 3 consonants. HST is very powerful. I can score with it. I can bingo with it. There's this H spot. There's the Satirize hooks. But it's the Satirize hooks that make this play so poor. I should instead maximize my score, play Wheats for only 12 more points, just to knock out Satirize's Satirizer and Satirized as possible places for Carl to play, because he can choose basically whatever word he wants to play that ends in one of the hooks, which gives him a lot of options based on what he wants to keep on his rack. So it just gives him a really nice spot. This is basically just like leaving a triple open for your opponent. He gets the choice in the matter so much of the time, what words to play, and they score over 30 points, pretty much all of them. So I should play Wheats for 42. Instead, I play Weave, and it actually works out a lot better for me because Carl ends up playing Ucane for 66. If you imagine that I played Wheats in this position, keeping an E, Carl plays Ucane for 75 points instead of 66, opening nothing for me, nothing of value, and I've just gotten rid of all of my letters. So this actually ends up working out pretty nicely for me. It would have been obviously better to make any play that doesn't give him a spot for Ucane, but yeah, this is all in hindsight. But what I'm just trying to say is this is another instance of where making a mistake did not cost me, it actually aided me here. So another type of luck in this tournament, and I draw the blank, but all constants. Luckily for me, he floated an E out there, and I have 1 playable bingo of Enthralls. So I take a 22-point lead, and Carl uses the Satirize hook. No, he doesn't. I kept on expecting every turn that Satirize would be hooked, but in this position, Carl finds a really nice play for 38 of Dog, and I still don't have a hook. So in this position, I take the triple, I play Volti, and finally, Dyad comes down, and Carl is ahead by 26 points, and we get to this very pivotal position where I do not have good letters, and there are a lot of things to think about. Number 1 thing to think about is timing. So I want to make a play here that leaves Carl with the fewest options, or easy options, to leave 2 tiles in the bag, or 3 or 1 tile in the bag, because if he does that, then he's going to get an advantage in the end game. So with 10 in the bag, I probably want to be playing as long as possible if I can. Like if I can play a 6-letter word, that would be pretty good here. 7-letter word obviously would be best. But otherwise that, I probably want to make a 3-tile play. And the reason I want to make a 3-tile play is because if I make a 4-tile or a 5-tile play, there are tons of plays that Carl can make of 3 tiles in length that will leave 4 or 3 tiles in the bag, which is not very good for me in the end. Anyways, that's the first thing I think about. The second thing I think about is what is unseen. Do I want to draw any of that? What do I want? I want an E, of course. I want a balance of consonants and vowels. It looks like I'm probably going to achieve that no matter what I play. And I would like this S, and I wouldn't like this Q, except I actually would like this Q. This Q is actually a strength for me. So wanting to draw the Q because I get QI for 50 and QUAI for 52 if I keep the A and the I. And these plays cannot simultaneously be blocked, and they score a ton of points. So I'm really thinking about that when I decided that I would make this really awful play. This is one of the worst plays I made. Maybe the worst play in terms of just like complete unforced strategic errors that I made in the tournament. And despite having tracked properly, despite knowing there was one I and one O unseen, I decided to play goat for 22. Maybe I thought I was better than I was. Maybe I thought I was Nigel. This play looks really bad at first glance. Opens not one, but two triples. It scores poorly, and it just doesn't do really anything for me. The one benefit that I saw from this play that outweighed everything else in this position was I am maximizing my chance of drawing the Q to get those huge plays. And unless Carl has a very, very strong play underneath next turn, I can play those Q plays, or I can even potentially underlap myself. And this play doesn't look very easy to underlap, but still, there being one O and one I unseen, Carl should normally have a host of options that he can play under this to score well and leave tiles in the bag. So this play was just a huge like overthinking play where I really tried my best to draw a Q, and that was the only thing that really mattered for me. It was like a one issue voter in this position. What I should do instead is just make the simple play of a go, because despite blocking the QI spot, it's very unlikely that QUAI will get blocked next turn, and if it does, I might get another spot. Like if he plays through the T, I get a triple. I still have QIID. There's still places for the Q if I draw it, if that's what I really want. But I also do not want to leave this spot open. There's stuff like KHI in this position, PHI, just like really easy ways to score, and QI, of course. And I just lose pretty much instantly to all of those unless I draw bingo. And so playing a go, keeping ACIT, that's actually really good for the unseen letters. I could draw an E, an N, a P, an R, and S. Like all of those letters work very well with my ACIT. It's a very nice leave for what's unseen. And I'm scoring one more point and leaving 7 in the bag rather than 6, which gives Carl probably less of a chance to maximize the value of his timing in the end game. So this was just a huge mistake. And I just, for some reason after the game, I just was like, what, did I just forget there was an I and an O? Did I just think there was one of them? And even so, I shouldn't make this play. Even if I'm like sure the Q is still in the bag, I shouldn't make this play. So this was a big mistake. And I gave Carl a humongous play of Ren, which basically sealed the deal in this position, except for the fact that I just drew 2 more vowels, and there are only 2 vowels left unseen after the play of Ren, and I drew the Q. So now I do get what I wanted for 52 and for 50, and I can choose between those 2 plays and tie the game up. But for me to win this game now, I need Carl to only have one of the 2 vowels, and even then, I need him to not be able to go out in 2. Because if Carl can just go out in 2, as long as he's not needing to block a bingo of mine, he just wins the game. So I have these Q plays available, and I choose QI because I figure that it's good also for me to maybe threaten something. If I can threaten a bingo, he might not be able to block and score enough to beat me in the end game. So that's why I played QI. This was the correct choice, but I do not draw one of the 2 vowels, and I do not draw a bingo. So in this position, when I drew my tiles and saw what Carl had, I knew the game was over. And it was just a matter of him finding an out in two that scored anything, and I was losing. So I started looking for plays that he could have. I saw that he could play Lippin or the anagram nipple. I saw that he could play hippie, which I thought was valid as well, which seemed to maybe not do the trick because it kept an L and an N. But I think there is an outplay elsewhere for the L and the N, if I'm not mistaken. Almost. For some reason, I thought this was one of the wins. Anyways, all Carl needs to do is make a play through this I to block stockage. So when I said I wasn't threatening a big go, I was kidding. No, I just forgot that I had stockage, but it just seemed super easy. All he needs to do is play through this I, and it should be good enough. And yeah, the thing I saw that was the simplest was hip line for 24. That leaves Carl with a P. He can go out with his P here. He can go out in multiple spots with it. And I can't score enough. He's up 7 points. He'll be up 31, even though I'm able to play off a lot of tiles here. It's just not enough. I can play snack. That's just not good enough. And yeah, so I thought I was lost here, and Carl had a ton of time to figure out the end game. But slowly or surely, he just wasn't making a play, and his body language, his like shuffling of the tiles indicated to me that he didn't see a win. I was like, what's going on? Like, this is a pretty like simple end game from my perspective. I missed track, so I start tracking. I realize I didn't miss track, and at some point Carl has like 2 minutes on his clock. His time's ticking down, and then he mutters, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I'm like, am I seriously going to steal this game? What is going on? And yeah, Carl ends up just not finding any of his wins and plays Pili for 14. So still blocking stockage. It almost still fits. CE isn't valid. But this play leaves Carl with 3 consonants and nowhere to play them. There's nowhere to play PHON. And the best play that Carl is threatening is PHI for 21. And he is up 21 points. So I just need to find in this position a play that banks me more than 42 points, which means 21 points plus the 21 points he's scoring. That's 42, and the N. So I'm getting the N for 2 points. So if I make 2 plays that total up to 41 points, I will win the game by 1 point. And the first thing I saw is the first thing I played. I was just in complete shock. I ended up playing Gecko, or it's not Gecko, but Gex, because Gecko would have given PHON. So you have to be careful. Even in analysis, I forgot that I couldn't give him an outplay here. So I play Gex, knowing that I have all these outplays with AO, that he just has to play PHI, and he plays PHI, I play Oak, and I win the game by 3 points. But actually, what ended up happening in this endgame, that's what happened. But Carl actually scored this as 12 points, and I didn't catch it. So luckily for me, even though I think recounted the entirety of the game before his play, luckily for me, this didn't actually change anything. On paper, I won by 5, and Carl didn't want to recount. I asked him if he wanted to recount. He's like, no, I blew the game. This is your game. Like, I don't want to recount. If we recounted, I would have won by 3 rather than 5. But yeah, Gex isn't the best endgame. There are a few or a number of better endgames than Gex, but in this position, spread did not matter for me. The win was most important, and I just didn't want to like blow the game back, and I just found the first thing that I could see. I also, I think, was somewhat low on time at that point. But the best endgame here is the beautiful Cats for 26, just taking advantage of the fact that Carl has 3 consonants. He can do absolutely nothing here to block this area. And I'm threatening to play Gecko next turn, and he can do 0 about it. So this is sort of endgame that you should learn. An endgame, an exploitative endgame, just taking advantage of your opponent's lack of options to set yourself up. This play of cats is just a prime example of that sort of endgame. Anyways, this was a complete and utter shocker. First game I ever beat Carl was a game that he blew an endgame that I just couldn't expect really anyone to blow, except someone who was under way more pressure than I was to win, because Carl needed this victory and needed to keep winning to ensure or maximize his chances at making the finals. So yeah, this was a big shock. There's just a rare lapse, I would say, from Carl's end, where he just was unable to see the right sequences. I think he saw that after Nipple, he thought that he didn't have enough points with the HI. He saw that he could play HIN or HIT, and I think didn't realize as well that he could play using the E of Nipple as well. So he thought that maybe I could block his out in 2. So that's basically what happened in his mind. And yeah, he slowly but surely got more and more afraid that he didn't have any wins here. So yeah, just crazy stuff. Just another example of the luck that I got in this tournament. At this point, of course, after this game, 0% chance that I'm not making the finals. So this was the cherry on top. And it was just a game that I had the least amount of chance of winning, basically. There were other games that I stole here in this tournament, but this one was pretty ridiculous. So, thanks for watching. Play of Goat, just horrendous. Play of Weave working out for me. Yeah, not a very clean game, but I took the W and just like, oh, I guess I can't lose anymore, because after this game, I had won all the games the day before, and I think 1, 2, 3, 4 games. 2, 3, 4, yeah. So this was an 11-game winning streak from yesterday, and I think that total teetered off at around 13 wins in a row at nationals in the strongest field that had been seen in a very long time. So yeah, pretty ridiculous. I felt really bad for Carl, because there was a chance if he won this game that he could make it to the finals and we could play, and he would be definitely a favorite to win that one, I would say, after 7-0ing me in our Scrabble careers. So yeah, unfortunate stuff, knocking another player out of contention, but that's just how it goes. It's a Shark Tank up there. And yeah, it's round 25. After this round, let's see what happens to the standings. I jump to 21 wins and 4 losses. Let's bring it up here. Jackson beats Rafi, knocks him out. So at this point, the only players that could make it were Jackson, Joey, and Kevin. So Jackson would need to go probably 0-3 or 1-2 with the other players going 3-0. So yeah, this was really looking like me versus Jackson in the finals. At this point, the tournament, one of the tournament organizers came up to us and like started asking us questions to talk to the press about who we were. Wanted to get the producers wanted to get video footage of me and Jackson. This is what it was looking to be. And in the next game, I started to play people that were just not at all in contention, because I was done. I was Gibsonized into the finals. There was no way that I could be caught. There was a 100% chance I was finishing either in first or second place. So the next game I played Joe Edley, who I did not play Yeah, so they paired me against someone I didn't play or I hadn't played, and oops, I just got a match request on Google. So that's never happened before. That'll teach me for rambling. So after this, 21 and 4 plus 1079, which was supposed to be 1077. And yeah, I'll bring you guys, I think maybe round 26 and round 27, and maybe also round 28. I might just make one more video because at this point it's over. There's nothing left to analyze, basically. I was feeling so relieved that I could just chill and not care about the results of the next three games and just see what happened and have some fun playing Scrabble. It's good to have fun. So this is the final board. I will see you guys in the next episode, maybe the final episode of this series. Maybe I'll do 2 more. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye. I already said that like 7 times.